What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, the Ol Drunken Geek again, and today I want to do a little something a little different. And I usually talk about geeky shit because I'm a geek, I'm a nerd. I got Star Wars shit always on fleek. But today I want to talk about different shit, man. I watch other types of movies too. I don't only do fucking nerdy movies and nerdy shit all the time. Sometimes I'm a decent human being that goes out and watches other shit that he likes. And sometimes when I'm a little devil, I just like to watch Star Wars marathons. But let's go on with today's video. So I just wanted to discuss a couple of movies that I saw this year in theaters that are non-geeky movies. And let's start with the top, man. Fucking Us that I saw earlier this year from Jordan Peele. It's a great movie. I like Get Out a lot, but I thought that visually Us was way superior. Now, Get Out to me was a more straightforward movie, and you understood, the science fiction, the sci-fi of it all. Us is a little bit more crazy pants. If you really think about it, it kind of does make sense. But it is a wild fucking idea. If you haven't watched the movie, it's this lady and her family, and they're off like a small vacation town or whatever. A gang of doppelgangers just waltzes into their little vacation house. It's like they all look like them, but they're all like weird and they all twisty and shit. And hilarity ensues. Not so much. Even though it was kind of a funny movie, it's definitely not a straight out comedy. But it is a very strange movie, and it does have a lot of social commentaries when you go and dig up, underneath all of it, the haves and the have-nots. It has some of that, but it's not completely spelled out for you. It's very tongue-in-cheek. It's a very cool movie, and I would watch it again and again. Hopefully it probably already out on streaming somewhere. I don't have it in anything, but hopefully Netflix will put it out and I can watch it a couple of times on that. As far as comparing it to Get Out, my first viewing, I kind of liked it more, but acknowledged that the cinematography was better in Us. So I was like, which one would be better? But then I kept thinking about Us every day for like the next 3 days. That's all I would think about. And that's really the testament to the movie's quality, because if it, I saw Get Out and it was a one's done and it was a good movie, whatever. Us, I kept thinking about it, and what? A movie that leaves you thinking about it that much deserves praise, in my opinion. I haven't thought about a movie that much in a while. And this type of new horror that we're seeing, in theaters nowadays, that is not just a jump scare type shit. There's more to it, there's layers to it, which I really like, which is similar to the next movie I'm going to mention, Midsommar. Midsommar was another horror movie because it does have a lot of horror elements like Us did, but it's not really a straightforward horror movie. This movie, Midsommar, is not for everybody. I wouldn't recommend it for everybody. It is kind of long, and it is kind of, I don't want to say redundant, but it feels like it repeats itself a lot, and it's hard to capture what the real essence of the movie is. Now, even though it is not for everybody, I personally enjoyed it. I thought that movie had a lot of commentary about empathy. Like, us Americans, and really most people in the Western world, have become kind of desensitized to people suffering and stuff like that. You see it on the news, you see fucking, shootings, mass shootings, police shootings, and we've kind of become numb to it. This movie really emphasizes empathy and how different societies approach it. That our way is not necessarily the best way. And even though somebody else's way might seem strange or even grotesque to you, doesn't mean it's a worst way. It's a very strange, heady movie. Keep it 100, I suggest you watch it on mushrooms. Us too. That's another one that could easily be a mushroom-ass movie. Fucking Midsommar, I thought it was a great movie, but not necessarily for everyone. Next movie I want to talk about is the movie about Elton John's life, Rocket Man. If you're gonna catch this movie later on DVD, listen to me, on DVD and VHS, on, streaming or whatever the fuck you watch movies on, heads up, it's a musical, bro. It's like a full-on musical. Now, I know a lot of people talk shit about that Queen movie, Bohemian Rhapsody. Personally, I enjoyed it. People are like, it's just not a properly done biopic. I don't get it. Whatever. You probably know more about film than I do. I'm not the biggest film connoisseur. I don't know everything about film, and I just enjoy what I enjoy. And I kind of enjoyed that Bohemian Rhapsody, but Rocket Man, not quite as much. It was interesting to see, you know, the depiction of Elton John's life. There's a lot of things that I didn't know about Elton John. There's a lot of songs that I didn't know were Elton John songs. Like a lot of these 70s and 80s rock stars, people were like, you know, oh, you don't like this guy, you don't like Bowie? I'm like, I don't know, man. And then it's like, this song, I don't know what that is. But then they play them, and I'm like, oh, I love that fucking song. That's a good song. You know, and so, you know, it is what it is. I have kind of, you know, basic ass knowledge of 70s music and stuff. But this movie, what took me out a little bit is they had full-on musical numbers, which I'm usually not a big fan of. The movie felt a little bit disjointed at times, but they were somewhat able to bring it back home. By the end, I was not like completely like, this fucking movie's trash, walking out. I was like, that was entertaining for the whatever 2 hours it was. You know, it was okay. I don't think I would catch it again personally. It wasn't my favorite, but it was pretty okay. That Egerton kid, the guy that does the Kingsman movies, he was pretty good as John and stuff like that. He could actually sing. I didn't know that either. Yeah, man, if you're into musicals and that type of shit, I would recommend it. But if you're not, you're like me, you're like, maybe pass on that one. The next movie I wanted to talk about is a smaller movie, a more of an indie movie called The Farewell, which is the story of an Americanized Chinese girl. So she was Chinese and she immigrated to America and stuff like that. And she's already a full-grown adult by the time you meet her. And, you know, her grandma has cancer. That's not a spoiler. That's in the beginning of the movie. Her grandma has cancer. Her family's not going to tell the grandma that she has cancer. They're just gonna go over there for a wedding. They're gonna fake a wedding, and it deals with like this girl who's played by Awkwafina. Who can somebody tell me what Awkwafina? Like everybody's talking about her. I don't know. This is the first time I'm seeing her in a movie, but you know, I don't know. Everybody's talking Awkwafina this, Awkwafina that. Somebody leave it in the comments. Tell me who is she? Deals with her, how she, you know, how she takes the possible losing of her grandmother and stuff like that. It deals a lot with immigration and like kids that are born and raised somewhere and are taken somewhere else. And it deals with what that does to the kid, what it does to the family, expectations of the parents that are immigrants and stuff like that. It was a smaller film, but it's a very beautiful film. I loved it. I cried like a bitch, and not in the moment in the film you would expect. Because at one moment, the Awkwafina character starts explaining to her mom how it felt to be a kid taken from your country, you know, that you know everything, and one day you're there, you know everything and everybody, you know, this is your world, and one day you're taken from that to somewhere else, and you feel like you're alone in a way. That encapsulated my personal experience as an immigrant kid in such a way that I've never seen in film. So hats off to that movie. I love that movie, and it's mostly a comedy, dudes. I was expecting it to be like a very dour drama. It's for the most part a comedy. If you're not into subtitles, maybe skip it. If you're not a subtitle person, but I didn't have a problem with it at all. It's a lot of, you know, I'm not sure if it's Cantonese or Mandarin, but it was a lot of Chinese speaking and stuff like that. I thought it was a beautiful movie. It definitely gets a glowing review from me, and you guys can watch it if you like. If you don't, go fuck yourself. And the last little movie that I want to talk about is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is director Quentin Tarantino's latest movie, which everybody's been looking forward to. I believe it's his 9th movie. He supposedly was only going to do 10 movies and retire. So this is one of his last ones. And I gotta say, not one of his best ones, in my opinion. Now, I didn't hate the movie, but Tarantino's got such a fucking pedigree of great movies that it's hard for another movie to beat those out. I liked Inglourious Basterds, and I like Django, for example, of his later, you know, movies and later in his career. I really like those movies, but they're still not like at my top. And this is where this movie falls to me. It tells the story of certain people in Hollywood around the time of the Manson murders. If you don't know, that was some infamous murders that happened in the late 60s of Sharon Tate, the then wife of Roman Polanski, the director. So it's very infamous. Charlie Manson is like a big figure. So it deals with that, but not specifically with that, with the lives of people that are adjacent to it, like the neighbors of Roman Polanski and stuff like that. I gotta say, the performances were great. Fucking Leo, Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt, they all fucking delivered. Throughout like the first half of the movie, I was not necessarily enjoying the movie because it is kind of hard to be like, what is the story? Which story are you telling here? And it's very seamless how he kind of starts really developing these characters and, you know, telling the story of their lives. without you noticing. Because the whole time you're like, it's a little jarring. You're like, what the fuck? What story are you telling? What are you doing? But by the end of the movie, I was satisfied. It has a twist ending at the end. Very Inglourious Bastards like. It was definitely not his best. Now, his shooting techniques and all that stuff, that's beyond me. I'm not like I said, I'm not the biggest film connoisseur. It looked good to me. I can't tell you shot by shot what style he was using. I'm not that guy. I tend to pay more attention to like plot and story and stuff like that. And that's where he lost me a little bit. But the way he does develop the characters, because there is character development, everything is important. Even the Sharon Tate character, who you spend, I would say, the least amount of time with, does get her own little story arc. That is very, very, very beautiful. There's some scenes in there with Margot Robbie and her pata sucia that were just, not only some of those were hilarious, but it was very heartwarming in a way, and it was kind of heartbreaking in the same way. The other thing I wanted to talk about, it feels like it was very insider baseball. Now, a lot of the things, Tarantino's work tends to be very derivative. And he uses tropes and things from other different genres, specifically 70s movies and like blaxploitation movies, westerns and stuff like that. Usually, the tropes that he uses, I kind of get it, not because I'm a fan of those movies, but because those things are referenced in a lot of shit that I watched growing up in different cartoons and stuff like that, Animaniacs and such. But in this movie, I feel like it was very, very specific insider baseball, and I feel like somebody with the knowledge of like 70s filmmaking and 70s Hollywood can really get a lot more than I could, because it feels like that's who he was writing this movie for. And a lot of that stuff I feel like went over my head, like the whole spaghetti western thing. I didn't understand much of that. Like, I understand, they started shooting westerns in Italy because they're cheaper and stuff like that. But I feel like there's like little, I don't want to know, you want to say Easter eggs or whatever, but I feel like he put a lot of like little miniature Easter eggs in there and stuff. But like I said, man, I enjoyed the movie, all 2.5 hours of it. I was, like I said in the beginning, I was like, but then when I started really catching on to what he was doing in the movie, I was like, okay, I let this ride. And I enjoyed myself. Like I said, not one of his best movies. To me, one of his best movies is still Reservoir Dogs. That's probably my favorite. I don't know. Pulp Fiction, I really like a lot. Hateful Eight, I like more than most people. Am I going to be that guy? The guy whose favorite Tarantino movie is Hateful Eight? I might be. But yeah, this movie was way different than all those others. And props to Tarantino, man. He does something different every time. And this was no different than that. I enjoyed it. And yeah, if you like Tarantino movies, you'll probably enjoy this, but it'll probably not be one of your top picks. Now, that's my little rant and rave and like little light reviews of shit that I watched this year that I enjoyed. I think that's it, man. I don't got anything else for you guys. I just wanted to talk about non-geeky shit for once. I always talk about Star Wars and MCU and shit, so I wanted to do a little different. I was feeling like a rascal and going against brand. I'm not even drinking boba tea. Is it boba tea or bubble tea?
Whatever you want it to be, daddy.
Damn, dog. That's how we living out here. With that little sentiment. So you called me daddy, now I'm licking my lips like I'm LL. Yeah. Doing it well, baby. But anyway, with that little sentiment, thank you guys for watching. If you could, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bing, ring that bell and them whistles, all them good stuffs. And yeah, man, that's all I got for you fuckers today, man. Catch other stuff on our channel. We have content every day. And that's all I got. ODG out.